This is a summary of Chapter 5 or Essay 5 all the way to Chapter or Essay 8. The Art of War by Sun-TZU. I'm going to be summarizing the John Minford edition. Let's get this started with. Now, Chapter 5. It's called Potential Energy. Potential energy. In this chapter, Sun-TZU goes ahead and tells us about managing many is the same as like managing a few, only on a quantitatively larger scale. It's like how you go ahead and divide up your resources and how you go ahead and figure out who does what, which unit does what, that kind of thing. That's the part that's the same. He even goes ahead and tells you about warfare being, hey, it's a matter of when you're going ahead and when you engage and like directly or when you engage indirectly. You cause a series of events that goes ahead and causes and affects your enemy. This is how you go ahead and secure victory. He goes ahead and tells us about you should go ahead and fight your battles directly. But everything else, such as like the causation of who gets to go ahead and do what, and when they go ahead and do what, and how they go ahead and do what, is something that you should be the one deciding. And because it should be something that you should decide, it's something that, hey, I'm going to make sure that I win. You should be the one controlling all the variables for your victory. Then he goes ahead and keeps talking about these 5 things. Back then in China, I guess 5 was a really important number. He goes and says 5 notes. Like there are several permutations and more that can never be heard. And you can go ahead and talk about the 5 colors. And their permutations are more than can ever be seen. And then he goes and says the same thing about 5 flavors, then more than can be tasted. And then that's it. That's the 3 5s. You go ahead and have to see, hear, and taste, and possibly even smell. In the dynamics of war, you go ahead, and there are only 2, the indirect and the direct. And then of course there are the permutations. And there are ways you can go ahead and do direct and indirect combat. It's numerous. It's like endless. You can do that as many times as you wish, and it will go ahead and do anything that you wish for you too. It's like a bunch of momentum. You go ahead and you build up a lot of momentum via the indirect campaigns. It might have been a hard work. It might have been a very easy work. But in the end, you managed to get yourself up here. And then you went ahead and got yourself way above your enemies. So what you have to do now is roll down the hill like a stone, build up your potential energy all the way until you go ahead and strike at your opponent right before they can even understand or comprehend what is happening. And yeah, so that's pretty much how you go ahead and build up your potential momentum. And once you have a lot of potential momentum, and if you redirect it correctly, you will get ahead a very effective kinetic energy. The only bad thing about this is that translating potential energy that's very high into a lot of kinetic energy immediately is a very hard thing to do. You could go ahead and be safe and do it a little at a time, but if you do decide to go ahead and release all of it at once, you better make sure that you've aimed it correctly, otherwise it's gonna miss. And then Sun-TZU goes ahead and goes on a poetic kind of talking about like how energy itself is like a visible form. This visible form, and like the enemy is sure to come, you should go ahead and bait them. But that's not what I'm here for. So yeah, that's potential energy. Next up, we're gonna talk about chapter 6. Chapter 6 being empty and full. Now, empty and full is in the chapter itself is literally what it sounds like. Now, it's basically this, like there are battlefields where like people go ahead and wait for their enemies, they're fresh and all kind of stuff, and then last on the battlefield is that they charge into the fray very exhausted. So the first players on the board are usually the ones who are very ready. They're here, they're ready, and they're good at anything, and they're good at everything too. They're very fresh and they're not exhausted. Whereas like everyone else who arrives are the ones who are very exhausted. They might be able to have enough to fight a little bit more, but in the end, they are too exhausted to do anything else anymore. Now, a fresh enemy, a well-fed enemy, and a settled enemy, that is an enemy that will fight you really, really well and appear at the place to which he must hasten you. So yeah, you have to hasten to the place where he least expects you. You have to go ahead and march hundreds of miles without tiring, and you have to go ahead and traveling where there is no enemy. And then you have to go ahead and attack them in a way that they do not expect you. Be the unexpected. because the expected is something that anyone can predict, but something unexpected is something no one else can predict. You have to go ahead and be sure of your defense by defending what was attacked, and you have to make sure you have victory by attacking what is undefended. Anything that is undefended, you should go first. There's no point in if you can go ahead and capture a town. There's no point in capturing a town that's very well defended if it's going to use the same resources that can be used to go ahead and get like an entire country. Okay, maybe not an entire country, but more like an entire state or a province, but you get my point. Some things are very, very unreliable. Like some towns that even if you do conquer, that you can't actually maintain absolute control of, are probably not worth the same resources that can be used to conquer much more territory and much more land and that kind of thing. And also, as the title of the chapter goes in success, empty and full. People with an empty stomach will go ahead and obviously complain a lot, and they will not try to fight as well because they're very low energy. We humans need food to survive. Anybody with this empty stomachs, have you ever known, is always low energy. You don't really want to do anything until you got some food. Some people go ahead and eat because that is their comfort food. But either way, that is how it works. Whereas an army with like a fully fed and fully well rested kind of army is a one army that will go ahead and fight the best. The ones who are fresh will have their highest morales. And the ones who are well fed also have a higher morale. And the ones who are given all the orders to go ahead and fight will go ahead and translate all this morale into their battle strength. Let's dive into that a little bit more. So, he goes ahead and tells us about being form and formless. When you go ahead and you seem like a form, you should be formless so that you can go ahead and be undetected. You have to be concentrated and you have to have one divided into several. And because you go ahead and divide one into several, you go ahead and do a little deception. Whereas you can reinforce his left, when your enemy goes and reinforces his left, he leaves his right to open, and when he does the same to his right, he leaves his left open too. So what you do is you hide behind the curtain, you go ahead and sneak out, and then you stab him from each side, like a game of those pins where they just pop out, and you go ahead and hit them down with a hammer when they appear, like groundhogs. When you know when you go ahead, where you're going to fight, you can be able to like fight there even after 100 miles of marching non-stop, and that's how it goes ahead and works. The weakness is that it stems from preparing against the attack, and it stems from obliging the enemy, and you can go ahead and prepare for an army, and you can prepare for an attack. So, what more can I go ahead and tell you guys about? The highest skills of this position is to be formless, and you go ahead when you feel like you're very near to the enemy, and when you know the enemy is very near, you have to make it feel like you are 100 miles away, even if you are in reality only 10 miles away. When it feels like you're going ahead and you're like 10 miles, like 100 miles away, you have to make the enemy restless and like engaging for combat as if you were 10 miles away. When you're far, act like you're near. When you're near, act like you're far. So that your enemy will be unprepared for surprise invasions, or they'll be so agitated and so stressed by the fact that they think you're very near that they won't be truly ready when you truly arrive. And then we get into the 5 parts of elements again. And with these 5 elements, there's no constant supremacy, and there is no one with any of these 4 seasons have no fixed stations. Basically, that is the entirety of empty and full. You have an empty stomach and you have a full stomach. You're very far away, but you act like you're near, and you're very near, but you're very far away. Act like those, and you can win your battles too. So I'll actually go ahead and stop the video right now. This is going to be part 1, chapters 5 to 8. I'll talk to you guys about chapters 9. I'll stop here from chapters 5 to 6, and I'll go ahead and talk to you guys about chapters 7 to 8 in the second part. See you guys soon. Bye bye.